Friends, thank you for being here. This is the first time that the Golden Stag Players has been able to get in front of a live audience in 3 years. Wow. We'd taken a year off to rest and recharge our batteries, and when we got ready to get started again, lockdown. We have put on a couple of things via Zoom over the time, which was a lot of fun, but it's time to get in front of people again. The play that you are about to see is the piece that we had planned to do 3 years ago. It has been on the back burner ever since. It is near and dear to our hearts. We have put a lot of work into it. If you don't like it, cope.
The sun doth beat upon the plain fields. Let us sit down, Gallathea, under this fair oak, while whose broad leaves, being defended from the worm beams, we may enjoy the fresh air which softly breathes from Humber floods.
Father, you have devised it well, and whilst our flock roams up and down this pleasant green, you shall recount to me, if it please you, for what purpose this tree was dedicated unto Neptune, and why you have thus disguised me.
In times past there stood a stately temple, dedicated to the god of the sea. But fortune, constant in nothing, for the land being oppressed by Danes, committed sacrilege. Tearing down the temple, enraged the god who binds the winds in the hollows of the earth, that he caused the seas to break their bounds, and to swell as far above their banks as men had swerved beyond their reason. But at last, our countrymen repented, and not too late, for Neptune, either weary of his wrath or wary to do them wrong, upon condition consented to ease their miseries.
What condition will not miserable men accept?
The condition was this, that at every 5 years' day, the fairest and chastest virgin in all the country should be brought unto this tree. And here being bound is left for a peace offering unto Neptune.
Dear is the peace that is bought with guiltless blood.
I am not able to say that. But he sendeth a monster called the Agar, against whose coming the waters roar, the fowls fly away, and the cattle in the fields for terror shun the banks.
Doth this monster devour her?
Whether she be devoured of him, or conveyed unto Neptune, or drowned between them both, it is not permitted to know. Now, Gallathea, here endeth my history, and begins thy tragedy.
Alas, Father, how so?
I would thou hadst been less fair or more fortunate. Thus have I disguised thee in this attire, for thy beauty would have thee to be seen worthy of this god. To avoid, therefore, destiny, I think it better to use an unlawful means to save thee from Neptune's wrath.
Father, destiny can be deferred, not prevented, and therefore it were better to sacrifice myself with honor than be drawn to it with dishonor. Do you not know that an honorable death is to be preferred over an infamous life? Virtues, I mean, to take to my death, not gray hairs. Nature hath given me beauty. Virtue hath given courage. Nature must yield me death. Virtue yield honor. Suffer me therefore to die for which I was born, or let me curse that I was born, sith I may not die for it.
Alas, Gallathea, to consider the causes of change. Thou art too young, and that I might find them out for thee too fortunate.
The destiny to me cannot be so hard as the disguising hateful.
To find love, the gods have taken shapes of beasts. And to save life, art thou coy to take the attire of men?
They were beastly gods that lust could make them seem as beasts.
In health, it is easy to counsel the sick. But it's hard for the sick to take wholesome counsel. Well, let us depart. The day is far spent.
Fair nymphs, are you strayed from your company by chance, or love you to wander solitarily on purpose?
Fair boy, or god, or whatever you be. I would you knew these woods are to me so well known that I cannot stray though I would, and my mind so free that to be melancholy I have no cause. There is none of Diana's train that any can train, either out of their way or out of their wits.
What is this Diana? A goddess? What are nymphs? Virgins? Pastimes? Hunting?
A goddess? Who knows it not? Virgins? Who thinks it not? Hunting? Who loves it not?
I pray you, of all your sweet troop, is there not one that followeth the sweetest thing, sweet love?
Love, good sir? What mean you by it, or what does it mean to you?
A heat, full of coldness, a sweet, full of bitterness, a pain, full of pleasantness, which maketh thoughts have eyes and hearts ears, bred by desire, nursed by delight, weaned by jealousy, killed by dissembling, and buried by ingratitude. And that is love. Fair maiden, will you any?
If it be nothing else, it is but a foolish thing.
Oh, try, and you will find it a pretty thing.
I have neither will nor leisure, but I will follow Diana in the chase, whose virgins are all chaste, delighting in the bow that wounds the swift heart in the forest, not fearing the bow that strikes the heart in the chamber. But this difference is between our Mistress Diana and your Mother Venus, that her nymphs are all amiable and wise to their kind. The other, too amorous and too kind for their sex. And so, farewell, little god.
Diana, and thou, and all thine, shall know that Cupid is a great god. I will practice a while in these woods, and play such pranks upon these nymphs that, while they aim to hit others with their arrows, so shall they be wounded themselves by their own eyes.
Come, Phillida, fair Phillida, thou knowest the custom of this country, and I the greatness of thy beauty. Everyone thinketh his own child fair, but I know that thou art fairest. Thou shalt therefore disguise thyself, so I may preserve you by a sure deceit.
Dear father, nature could not make me so fair if she had made you kind, nor you more kind than me dutiful. Whatsoever you command, I shall not refuse. But how shall I be disguised?
In man's apparel.
It will neither be my body nor my mind.
Why, Phillida?
For then I should keep company with boys, and be thought more wanton than becometh. Or keep company with girls, and commit follies unseemly for my sex. Besides, I shall be ashamed of my long hose and short coat, and so unwarily blab out something by blushing at everything.
Fear not, Phillida. Use will make it easy. Fear must make it necessary.
I agree, since my father will have it so, and fortune must.
Come, let us in, and when thou art disguised, roam about these woods till the time be past, and Neptune please.
Blush, Gallathea, that must frame thy affection fit for thy habit, and therefore be thought immodest because thou art unfortunate. Would the gods had made me as I seem to be, or that I might safely be what I seem not. Thy father doteth, Phillida, Gallathea. Thy father doteth, Gallathea, whose blind love corrupteth his fond judgment. But why dost thou blab what thou art, or blame him, when thou shouldst only counterfeit what thou art not? But whist, here cometh a lad. I shall learn of him how to behave myself.
I neither like my gait nor my garments, the one untoward, the other unfit, both unseemly. But yonder saith one, therefore say nothing.
I see that boys are in as great disliking of themselves as girls, and therefore, though I wear the attire, I am glad I am not the person.
It is a fair and pretty boy. He may well have been a woman. Because he is not, I'm glad I am, for under the color of my coat, I shall decipher the follies of their kind.
I would salute him, but I fear I would make a curtsy instead of a leg.
If I durst trust my face as well as my habit, I should spend some time to make pastime, for say what you will of a man's wit, it is no second thing to be a woman.
All my blood would be in my face if he were to ask me, as the question among men is common, are you a maid?
Why stand I still? Boys should be bold. But here cometh a brave train that will spill all our talk.
Godspeed, fair lad.
You are deceived, lady.
Why, art thou no lad?
No fair lad?
Saw you not the deer come this way? He flew down the wind, and I believe you have blanched him.
Whose deer was it, lady?
Diana's deer.
I saw naught but mine own deer.
This wag is a wanton or a fool. Ask the other Diana.
I know not how it cometh to pass, but yonder boy is in mine eye too beautiful. I hope the ladies think him not their dear.
Pretty lad, do your sheep feed in this forest, or are you strayed from your flock? Or come ye here to mar Diana's pastime? Well, are ye neither lad nor shepherd?
Well, my mother said I could be no lad till I turned 20-year-old, nor keep sheep till I could tell them. Therefore, lady, no lad, nor shepherd. Here.
These boys are both agreed. Either they are very pleasant or too perverse. Your best, lady, make them tusk these woods whilst we stand with our bows, and so use them as beagles, since they have so good mouths.
I will. Follow me without delay or excuse, and if you can do neither, you shall at least halloo the deer.
I am willing to go. Not for these ladies' company, for myself and the virgin, but for that fair boy's favor whom I think to be a god.
You, sir, shall also go.
I will if you command, and would if you had not.
Tartarus. Malevagus.
Now Cupid, under the shape of a silly girl. Show the power of a mighty god. Let Diana and her coy nymphs know that there is no heart so chaste but thy bow can wound, no eyes so modest but thy brand can kindle, no thought so staid but my shafts can make wavering, weak, and wanton. Cupid, though he's a child, is no baby. I shall make their pains my pastimes, and confound each other in their own sex, so they shall dote on their desires, delight in their affections, and practice only impossibilities. I will use some tyranny in these woods, and so shall their exercise in foolish love be my excuse for running away. Let us see whether fair faces be always chaste, or Diana's virgins be only modest. Else I will spend my shafts and shifts, and then, ladies, if you see such dainty dames entrapped in love, say to yourself softly, we may all love.
Do they mean to make a fool of Neptune? I will not be made a fool of. Do shepherds go about to deceive great Neptune by putting men's clothes upon women? And Cupid, to make sport, deceive them all by putting women's clothes upon a god? Well then, Neptune, who has taken sundry shapes to obtain love? Oh, stick not to practice some deceit to show thy deity, and having thrust thyself into the shapes of beasts to deceive men, be not coy to take the shape of a shepherd to show thyself a god. Neptune cannot be overtaken by swains. Himself is subtle. And if Diana be overtaken by craft, well then Cupid is wise. I will go into these woods and mark all, and in the end, mar all.
Oh, how now, Gallathea? Oh, miserable Gallathea, that thou hast put on the apparel of a boy, thou canst not also put on the mind. Oh, fair Melibaeus, I too fair, and therefore I fear me too proud. It would have been better for thee to have been a sacrifice to Neptune than a slave to Cupid, to die for thy country than live in thy fancy, to be a sacrifice than a lover. Oh, would, when I hunted his heart with my eye, he would have seen my heart with his eye. Why did nature to him, a boy, give a face so fair, and to me, a virgin, a fate so hard? I will follow him into the woods, and thou, sweet Venus, be my guide.
Poor Phillida. Curse the time of thy birth, the rareness of thy beauty, the inaptness of thy apparel, the untamedness of thy affections. Art thou no sooner in the habit of a boy, thou must be enamored of a boy? What shall I do? Go into the forest, watch the good times, his best moods, transgress a little in love and modesty? I will. I shall not. Thou must. I cannot. Phillida, do something. Nay, anything rather than live thus. Well, what I will do, myself knows not. But what I ought, I know too well. So I will go, resolute to either betray my love or suffer shame.
Why, how now? What new conceits, what strange contraries breed in thy mind? Is thy Diana become a Venus? Thy chaste thoughts turn to wanton looks? Thy conquering modesty to a captive imagination? Oh, Toulouse, these words are unfit for thy sex, being a virgin, but apt for thy affections, being a lover. Can Cupid's brands quench Vesta's flames? And his feeble shafts, headed with feathers, pierce deeper than Diana's arrows headed with steel? Break thy bow, Toulousa, that seekest to break thy vow. And let those hands that aim to hit the wild heart scratch out those eyes that have wounded thy tame heart. Oh, Melibaeus, because thou art fair, must I be fickle, and false my vow because I see thy virtue? Fond girl that I am to think of love. Nay, vain profession that I follow to disdain love.
Toulousa!
Oh, here cometh Eurota. Now I must put on a red mask and blush, lest she perceive my pale face and laugh.
Toulousa, Diana made me bid you out, and saith that if she knows that you do not wish to hunt with her, but if you choose any other game than what she hath roused, you will have a punishment of bending all our bows and weaving all our strings. Why look ye so pale, so sad, so wildly?
Rota, the game I follow is the thing I fly. My strange disease, my chief desire.
Pray thee, Eurota, Toulousa, tell me, what ailest thou? If thou be sick, then these grounds have leaves to heal. If melancholy, then there are pastimes here to use. If peevish, then wit must wean it, or time, or wise counsel. If thou be in love, for I have heard of such a beast called love, it shall be cured. Why blushest thou, Toulousa?
To hear thee, in reckoning my pains, to recite thine own. I saw how amorously, Eurota, you glanced your eye on the fair boy in the white coat, and how cunningly, now that you would have some talk of love, you hit me in the teeth with love.
No! I admit that I am in love, but I know not what it is. I feel my thoughts unknit, my eyes unsheathed, my heart I know not how affected. My sleep's broken and full of dreams. Oh, if this be love, I wish it had never been devised.
Thou hast told what I am. These are my passions, Eurota, which I were as good acknowledged and crave counsel as to deny and endure peril.
How did it take you first, Toulousa?
By my wanton eyes, which conceived the picture of his face and hanged it upon the very strings of my heart. Oh, fair Melibaeus. Oh, fond Toulousa. But how did it take you, Eurota?
Ah, by the ears, with whose sweet words sunk so deep into my head that the remembrance of his wit hath robbed me of my wisdom. Oh, eloquent Titus, credulous Eurosa. Oh, I wish that I had never ever been born a woman. Oh.
Would Toulousa were nobody.
It is a pity nature framed you not a woman, having a face so fair, so lovely a countenance, so modest a behavior.
There is a tree in Tylos whose nuts have shells of flame, but being cracked, the kernel is but water.
What a toy is it to tell me of that tree being nothing of the purpose. I say it is a pity you are not a woman.
I should not desire to be a woman unless it were because thou art a man.
Nay, I do not wish to be a woman, for I have sworn to never love a woman, and
A strange conceit in so pretty a youth, and alike to mine, for myself shall never love a woman.
'twere a shame if a maiden should be a suitor that thou shouldst deny to be her servant.
If it be a shame in me, it is no commendation in you, for yourself is of that mind.
Suppose I were a virgin, and in the habit of a boy or the body of a maid. If I should utter my affections with sighs, manifest my love with my salt tears, and prove my loyalty unspotted and my griefs intolerable, would then that fair face take pity on this true heart?
Say that I were, as you would have me believe to you to be, and that I should, with oaths, bribes, entreaties, prayers, and all that can be devised in love, desire your favor. Would not you yield?
What doubtful speeches be these? I fear he is as I am, a maiden.
What dread ariseth in my mind? I fear the boy to be as I am, a maiden.
Tush, it cannot be. His voice shows the contrary.
And yet, I do not think it, for he would have blushed.
Have you a sister?
If I had one, my brother must needs have two. But have you ever one?
My father had but one daughter, therefore I could have no sister.
I mean, he is as I am, for his speeches are as mine are.
What shall I do? Either he is subtle or my sex simple.
I have known divers of Diana's nymphs to be enamored of him, but he hath denied them all, either as too proud to disdain, or too childish not to understand, or that he knoweth himself to be a virgin.
I am in a quandary. Diana's nymphs have followed him, and he despised them, knowing full well the beauty of his own face, or that he himself is of the same mold. I will once again try him. In the woods you promised, before all of Diana's nymphs, that you would love me.
Aye, and so you would love me before all Diana's nymphs.
Come, let us into the woods, and make much one of another that cannot think one from another.
What news is this? Are all in love? Are Diana's nymphs become Venus's wantons? Is it a shame to be chaste because you are amiable? Needs you must be amorous because you are fair? Oh, Venus, if this is thy spite, I shall requite it with more than hate. There is an unknown nymph that wanders these woods, whom I suspect to be the weaver of these woes. Go, search them out, and bring them here. If you find upon their shoulder a burn, it is Cupid. If any print upon their back like a leaf, it is Medea. If any picture upon their left breast like a bird, it is Calypso. If any slap upon their face, it is Fleeg. Search them out and bring them here.
I will go with speed.
What greater shame could happen to Diana or to her nymphs than there be any time so idle as to make their heads so addle? Shall it be said, and shall Venus say it, that Diana, the goddess of chastity, whose heart abateth Cupid's arrows, shall have her virgins become unchaste in their desires, in base love? Oh, my dear nymphs, if you only knew how loving thoughts stained lovely faces, you would take care to have the one as unspotted as the other beautiful. Oh, and how is your love placed upon pelting boys? Perhaps base of birth, certainly think of discretion. Ay, but they are fair. And are Diana's hunts to become Venus's court? And are your holy vows to become hollow thoughts?
My lady, so unacquainted are we with the passions of love that we can neither describe them nor bear them.
Oh, my foolish girl, how willing you are to flee that, no, to follow that which you should flee. Oh, and here comes Tolosa.
I have brought the disguised nymph, and have found on his shoulder Psyche's burn, and he confesseth himself to be Cupid.
How now, sir? Are you caught, and are you Cupid?
Thou shalt see, Diana, that I dare confess myself to be Cupid.
And thou shalt see, Cupid, that I dare confess myself to be Diana, conqueror of thy loose and untamed appetites. Did thy mother, Venus, send thee here under the color of a nymph to wound my nymphs? Cruel and unkind Venus, who despiseth only chastity, thou shalt see that Diana's power shall revenge thy policy and tame this pride. As for thee, Cupid, I will burn thy bow, break thy arrows, bind thy hands, clip thy wings, and fetter thy feet. I will show thee that these ladies here, whom thou hast infected with foolish love, shall tread on thee and triumph over thee. I will show thee what it means to displease Diana.
Diana, what I have done cannot be undone, but what you mean to do shall. Venus hath some gods to her friends, Cupid shall have all.
Art thou prating? I will bridle thy tongue and thy power. And in spite of mine own thoughts, I will set thee a task every day which, if thou finish not, thou wilt feel the smart. I will use thee as a servant and not as Venus's son. All the world will see thee as a captive, and I will show myself to be a conqueror. Have him in, that we may devise just punishments to tame his proud presumption.
We will plague thee for a little god.
We will never pity thee, though thou be a god.
If anything goes wrong, then I'm sure it's something you did.
What? What did I do?
Today is the day wherein we must satisfy Neptune and save ourselves. Call together your fair daughters, and from among them take the fairest, for it is better to offer a virgin than to suffer ruin. If you think it against nature to offer up your children, then think it also against sense to destroy our country. If you would imagine Neptune to be pitiless to desire such a prey, then we must confess ourselves perverse to deserve such a punishment. You see, this tree, this golden tree whose leaves glitter, to this tree must be tied the beautifulest until the monster Agar carry her away. And if the monster come not, then know that the fairest is concealed, and Neptune will result in destroying your country. And so, I implore you, not as fathers of children, but as favors of your country, let Neptune have his right if we will have our quiet. Thus, I have warned you to be careful, and would wish you to be wise, knowing that who hath the fairest daughter hath the greatest fortune in losing one to save all. And so, I will go and prepare the ceremonies for the sacrifice, and I command you to bring the sacrifice.
They say, Tityrus, that you have a fair daughter. If it be so, dissemble not, for you shall be a fortunate father. It is a thing holy to preserve one's country, and honorable to be the cause.
Indeed, Meliboeus, I have heard you boast that you had a brave, fair daughter, than the which none was more beautiful. I hope you are not so careful of a child that you will be careless of your country, or add so much to nature that you will detract from wisdom.
I must confess that I had a daughter, and I know that you have one, but alas, my child's cradle was her grave, and her swath-clout her winding sheet. I would that she had lived till now. She should willingly have died now. For what could have happened to poor Meliboeus more comfortable than to be the father of a fair child and sweet country?
Ah, Meliboeus, dissemble you may before men. Deceive the gods you cannot. Did I not see, and very lately see, your daughter in your arms, when as you gave her infinite kisses, with affection I fear me more than fatherly, you have conveyed her away to cast us all away, bereaving her the honor of her beauty, and us the benefit, preferring a common inconvenience before a private mischief.
It is a bad cloth, Tityrus, that will take no color, and a simple father that can use no cunning. You make the people believe that you wish well, when you practice nothing but ill, wishing to be thought religious towards the gods, when I know you deceitful towards men. You cannot overreach me, Tityrus. Overshoot yourself you may. It is a wily mouse that can breed in the cat's ear, and he must halt cunningly that will deceive a cripple. Did you ever see me kiss my daughter? You are deceived. It was my wife. And if you thought so young a piece unfit for so old a person, and therefore imagine it to be my child, not my spouse, you must know that silver hairs delight in golden locks, and the old fancies crave young nurses, and frosty years must be thawed by youthful fires. But this matter set aside, Titus. You are a fortunate father, but it is a shame that you are so deceitful.
You are both either too fond or too forward. For, whilst you dispute to save your daughters, you neglect to prevent our destruction. Come, let us find a sacrifice. We will sift out their cunning. Let them shift for themselves.
Come, Cupid, to your task. First, you must undo all these lovers' knots, because you tied them.
If they be true lovers' knots, 'tis impossible to untie them. If false, I never tied them.
Make no excuse, but to it.
Love knots are knit with eyes, and cannot be undone with hands, are made fast with thoughts, and cannot be loosed with fingers. Has Diana no task to set before Cupid, but things impossible? I will do it.
Why, how now you tie the knot faster?
I cannot choose. It goes against my mind to let them loose.
Let me see that. Oh, 'tis impossible to be undone.
That is the love knot of a woman's heart. Can never be undone.
Well, that falls in sunder of itself.
That was made of a man's thoughts, which will never hang together.
You have undone that well.
Well, because it was never tied well.
To the rest, for she will give you no rest. Those two knots are finally untied.
Because I never tied them. The one was knit by Pluto, not Cupid, for money, not love. The other by force, not faith, by appointment, not affection.
Why do you lay that knot aside?
For death.
Why?
That knot was knit of faith, can only be unknit of death.
Why laugh you?
This is the fairest and the falsest, made with the greatest art and least truth, the best colors and the worst conceits.
Who tied it?
A man's tongue.
No. Why did you put that in my bosom?
For a woman's bosom.
Why?
The woman's heart.
Oh, come, I will go in and tell that Cupid hath done his task. Oh, stay you behind and see to it he sleep not, for love will be idle. And take heed you surfeit not, for love will be wanton.
Oh, leave me alone. I will find him something to do.
Lady, can you not for pity see Cupid thus punished?
Why did you punish us without pity?
Was love a punishment?
It is no pastime.
Oh, Venus, if you could see Cupid thus as a captive, bound to obey that what was wont to command, fearing ladies' threats that once pierced their hearts, I cannot tell whether thou would revenge it for despite or laugh at it for disport. Diana, the time may come, indeed, the time will come, that thou that settest Cupid to untie knots will set Cupid to tie knots. And thou, that with solace have beheld my pain, shall, with pity, feel my pity.
How now, begin you to nod? Come, Cupid. Diana hath devised new labors for thee that are god of loves. You shall weave samplers all night and lackey after Diana all day. You shall shortly shoot at beasts for men, because you have made beasts of men, and wait on ladies' trains, because thou entrappest ladies by trains. All the stories that are in Diana's Eras which are of love, you must pick out with your needle, and in that place sew Vesta with her nuns and Diana with her nymphs. How like you this, Cupid?
I say I will prick as well with mine needle as ever I did with mine arrows.
Diana cannot yield. She conquers affection.
Diana must yield. She cannot conquer destiny.
Must you to your business?
You shall find me so busy in your heads that you will wish I'd been idle in your hearts.
This day is the solemn sacrifice at this tree, wherein the fairest virgin, were not the inhabitants faithless, should be offered unto me. Oh, but so over-careful our fathers toward their children, they forget the safety of their country, and fearing to become unnatural, become unreasonable. Their slights may blear men. Deceive me they cannot. I shall be here at the hour, and will show as great a cruelty as they have done craft. And well shall they know that Neptune should have been entreated, not cozened.
I marvel at virgin the people will present. Because happy you are none, for then it would have fallen to your lot. Because your face is so fair.
If you were a maiden too, I need not have feared, for your face is fairer.
Oh, pray thee, sweet boy, flatter not me. Speak truth of thyself, for in mine eye of all the world, thou art fairest.
Those are pretty words, but far from thy true thoughts. I know mine own face in a true glass, and desire not to hear it in a flattering mouth.
Oh, would I did flatter thee, and fortune flatter not me. I love thee, as a brother, but love not me so?
Nay, I shall not. But love thee better, for I cannot love as a brother.
Seeing as we're both boys and lovers, and our affections may seem and show as if it were love, let me call thee mistress?
I accept that title, for divers before have called me mistress.
For what cause?
Nay, therein lie the mysteries.
Will you be at the sacrifice?
No.
Why?
Because I dreamed that if I were to go, I should be turned into a maiden, and then being so fair, as thou sayest I am, I must needs be sacrificed, as thou knowest one must. But will you be at the sacrifice?
Not unless a boy were to sacrifice, not a maiden.
Why then, you are in danger.
I would escape it by its cease. But, seeing as we are both resolved not to go, let us wander into the woods till the hour is past.
Aye, then my fear will be past.
Why? What dost thou fear?
Nothing, but that you love me not.
I will. Poor Phillida. That lovest one that I fear me is as thyself is. May it not be that her father hath practiced the same deceit with her as mine hath with me, and knowing her to be fair, fear she should be unfortunate. If it be so, how desperate is thy case? If not, how doubtful. For if she be a maiden, there is no hope of my love. The boy, the hazard. I will after him or her, and lead a melancholy life that begs for a miserable death.
Bring out the virgin, the fairest virgin, the fatal virgin, if you mean to appease Neptune and satisfy and save your country.
Here she cometh, accompanied only by men. For it is, as all the virgins say, a sight unseemly to see the misfortune of a maiden, and terrible to behold the fierceness of the monster, Aegon.
Let go of me! My only cause, let go! Miserable and accursed Hebe, being neither fair nor fortunate, for some reason are now considered most happy and beautiful. Curse thy birth, thy life, thy death, having born to live in danger and now having lived to die by deceit. Am I to be the sacrifice for Neptune and to satisfy the custom ordained for the safety of our country? Aye, men would have it so, whose forces control our weak nature. Nay, the gods would have it so, whose powers dally with our purposes. Shall it only be lawful amongst us, in the pride of our youth and the prime of our beauty, to destroy both that same youth and beauty? But alas, destiny alloweth no dispute. Die, Hebe. Hebe, die. Woeful Hebe, and only accursed Hebe. Farewell, the sweet delights of life, and welcome now to bitter pangs of death. Farewell, you chaste virgins, whose thoughts are divine, whose face is fair, and whose fortunes are agreeable to your affections. Enjoy, and long enjoy, the pleasure of your curled locks, the amiableness of your wished looks, the sweetness of your tuned voices, and the content of your inward thoughts. Only Hebe bids farewell to all these that she hoped for, and that you will, that she dreamed of possessing, and you shall. Farewell, the pomp of princes' courts, where the days are spent in sweet delights, the nights in pleasant dreams. And the chaste honoreth affection yields to desire. Farewell, Diana, sovereign of all virtue, and goddess of all virgins, whose perfections are impossible to number and are therefore infinite, who cannot be matched and are therefore immortal. Farewell, sweet father. Blessed you would have been in barrenness. Happy I would have been if I had not been. Farewell. Oh. Welcome, death, who nature cannot deny because necessity ruleth, and who cannot defer because destiny hasteth. Come, thou bastard Agar, that insatiable monster of maiden's blood and devourer of beauty's bowels. Glut thyself to thou surfeit, and let my life end thine. Tear these tender joints with your greedy jaws, these golden locks with your black feet, my fair face with your foul teeth. Why dost thou abate us thy wanted swiftness? I'm fair. I'm virgin. I'm ready. Come, Agar, thou most horrible monster. Farewell, world, thou more vile monster.
The monster is not come. And I fear Neptune is abused, whose wrath will be both infinite and intolerable. Taking this virgin, whose want of beauty hath saved her own life and cost all of ours.
We could not find any fairer.
Neptune will. Go to your father.
Come, Hebe. Now is not the time for us to reason. It would have been best for all of us had to have been most beautiful.
Oh, fortunate Hebe, how shall thou express thy joys? Nay, unhappy girl. This has only proven that thou art not the most beautiful, and therefore are not worthy of Neptune. Would it not have been better if you could have died with fame than to live with dishonor by failing your family and the safety of your country? But alas, destiny would not have it so. It could not. It asked for the most beautiful. Just once. Couldn't Hebe have been the most beautiful?
You meant the virgin that should have been sacrificed to Neptune. Be like the custom is pardoned, or is she not thought fairest?
I cannot conjecture the cause, but I fear the event.
Why should you fear? The god requires no boy.
I would he did.
I'm glad he does not, though, because I should also have cause to fear. But listen, what manner god is this? Let us withdraw into the thickets.
Do men begin to be equal with the gods? Do fathers dote on their daughters that they stick not to dally with our deities? Well shall the inhabitants see that destiny cannot be prevented by craft, nor my anger appeased by submission. I will make havoc on Diana's nymphs. My temple shall be dyed with the blood of maidens, and nothing shall be more vile than to be a virgin. To be young and fair shall be accounted shame and punishment, insomuch as it shall be thought to be dishonorable as to be honest, to be fortunate as to be deformed.
Hast thou forgotten thyself, Neptune, or wilt thou clean forsake me? Has Diana brought danger to her nymphs because they be chaste? Or shall virtue suffer pain and shame, which always deserveth praise and honor?
Praise and honor, Neptune. Nothing less. Except to be commendable, to be coy, and honorable, to be peevish. Sweet Neptune. If Venus can do anything, let her do this one thing. That Diana find a small comfort at thy hands, as love has found courtesy at hers. She hath stolen my son, Cupid. Cupid, my lovely son. Used him like apprentice, whipped him like a slave, and scorned him like a beast. Therefore, Neptune, let me entreat thee, as no other god than the god of love, then thou entreat evil with this goddess of hate.
Oh, it amused me not a little to see you two here at this day, at this hour, and about this matter. But tell me, Diana, have you Cupid captive?
I say, there is nothing more vain than to dispute with Venus, whose untamed affections have caused more brawls in heaven than are fit to repeat on earth, or possible to recount in number. I have Cupid, and will keep him, not to dandle on my lap, whom I abhor in my heart, but to laugh him to scorn, who have caused in my virgin's heart such deep scars.
Scars, Diana?
Scars.
Call you that, which I know to be bleeding wounds. Alas, weak deity, it stretches not so far, but to bait the sharpness of his arrows and to heal the hurts. No, love's wounds, when they are green, rankle, and having a smooth skin without, fester to the death within. Therefore, Neptune, if Venus has ever stood thee in thy stead, furthered thy fancies, or at all times be at thy command, let either Diana bring her virgins to a continual massacre, or else release Cupid of his martyrdom.
It is known, Venus, that your thoughts are as unruly as your tongue, and your tongue is as untamed as your eyes. Diana cannot chatter, and Venus cannot choose.
Oh, it is an honor for Diana to mean Venus ill when she speaketh so well. But you shall see, I come not to trifle. Therefore, once again, Neptune, if that which be buried but can never die, fancy, or quenched which must forever burn, affection, show thyself to be thy same Neptune I knew when thou wast a shepherd. And let not Venus's words full vain in thine ears, as thine were imprinted on my heart.
It were unfit that goddesses should strive, and it were unreasonable that I should not yield. Therefore, to please both attend. Diana I must honor. Her virtue deserveth no less. Venus I must love. I must confess so much. Therefore, if you will restore Cupid to Venus, I will forever release the sacrifice of virgins. Now, if you love your nymphs as much as she doth her son, or prefer not a private grudge before a common grief, answer what you will.
I account the choice not hard, for had I 20 Cupids, I would deliver them all to save one virgin, knowing love to be a thing of the vainest, virtue to be a thing of the noblest. I yield. Bring forth Cupid. And therefore let it be said that Cupid saved those he would seek to harm.
I shall agree to this, and shall watch how my son wander again. But Diana cannot forbid him to wound.
Yes, chastity is not within the level of his bow.
But beauty is a fair mark to hit.
Well, I am glad you both agree. And let it be said that Neptune has dealt well with both beauty and chastity.
Here, take your son.
Alas, poor boy, where have you been? Always taken. First by Sappho, now by Diana. How happened it, you unhappy elf?
Coming through Diana's woods and seeing such fair faces with fine hearts, I thought for sport to make them smart, and so was taken by Diana.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry. I'm glad I have you.
And I'm glad to be rid of him.
Alas, sir boy, what? Thy wings clipped? Thy brands quenched? Thy bow burnt? Thy arrows broke? Oh! What'd you say?
Aye, but it skilleth not. I bear now mine arrows in my eyes, my wings in my thoughts, my brand in my ears, and my bow in my mouth. So I can wound with looking, fly with thinking, burn with hearing, and shoot with speaking.
Well, now you will up to heaven with me, for on earth I will lose you.
This is all your fault.
Oh, but soft, what be these?
Those that have offended thee to save their daughters.
Oh, why, had you a fair daughter?
I am Gallathea, a fair daughter.
Where be they?
In yonder woods, and methinks I see them coming.
Well, your actions have not gotten pardon from these goddesses.
This is my daughter, my sweet Phillida.
And this is my fair Gallathea.
Unfortunate Gallathea, if this be Phillida.
Accursed Phillida, if that be Gallathea.
And wast thou all this time enamored of Phillida, that fair Phillida?
And couldst thou dote upon the face of a maiden, thyself being one, face of fair Gallathea?
Do you both, being maidens, love one another?
I had thought the habit agreeable with the sex, and therefore burned in the fires of my own fancy.
And I had not thought that in the attire of a boy who lost the body of a maiden, and was so inflamed with sweet desire, which I now find a sour deceit.
Now, things falling out as they have, you must leave these fond-found affections, and nature will have it so, and necessity must.
I shall never love anybody but Phillida. Her love is engraven in my heart with her eyes.
Nor I any but Gallathea, whose thoughts are imprinted in my mind with her words.
A silly choice, strange and foolish for one virgin to dote on another, and to imagine a constant faith when there can be no cause for affection. How like you this, Venus?
Oh, I like it well. And I will allow it. They shall both be granted their desires. For who has said that nature or fortune shall overcome love and faith? Is your love unspotted, begun with faith, continued with constancy, not to be altered till death?
Die, Gallathea, if thy love not be so.
Accursed be thou, Phillida, if thy love not be so.
Suppose all this, Venus, what then?
Oh, then it shall be seen that I can turn one of them into a man, and I will presently.
Is it possible?
What is to love, or the mistress love? Impossible. Did I not do the same for Iphis and Ianthes? What say you? Want to be a man presently?
I'm content so that I may embrace Phillida.
I agree, so I may enjoy Gallathea. Phillida.
Yeah, go there.
Soft, daughter. You must know whether I will have you a son.
Keep me with you, Gallathea. I will keep you as I begat you, a daughter.
Titers, let yours be a boy, and if you will, mine shall not.
Nay, mine shall not, for by that means my young son should lose his inheritance.
Why then, get him to be made a maiden, and then there is nothing lost.
Well, you are both fond. Now agree to this changing, or suffer your daughters to endure hard chance.
What say you, Tigress? Shall we refer to Venus?
I am content, because she is a goddess.
Neptune, it does not displease you.
Oh, not I.
Nor you, Diana.
Not I.
Cupid shall not.
I will not.
But what of our choice?
Indeed, why hast then consulted our wishes?
You have a different desire?
That should the choice be ours, and ours alone.
I would that we should be allowed to think upon it ourselves and let no other choose, not even chance.
Then it shall be as you wish. You, and you alone, shall make the choice, and none but you shall know till you come to the temple door.
Well, I'm not
And let those who would object be warned of Neptune's displeasure.
Doth it suffice?
And satisfy us both, doth it not, Gallathea?
Yes, Phillida.
I'll pay the dowry, but your son marries Eve.
What?
Go all. 'Tis only I that conclude all. You ladies, you have seen how Venus can turn constancy to fickleness, courage to cowardice, modesty to lightness, working things impossible in your sex, and tempering hardest hearts like softest wool. Yield, ladies. Yield to love, ladies, that lurketh under your eyelids whilst you sleep, and playeth with your heartstrings whilst you wake, whose sweetness never breedeth satiety, labor weariness, nor grief bitterness. Cupid was begotten in a mist, nursed in clouds, and suckled only upon fancies. Confess him as a conqueror whom you must regard, so that it is impossible to resist. For this is infallible, that love conquers all things but itself, and lovers all hearts but their own.
Friends, thank you for being here. We needed this. We needed this like you could not imagine. The energy that we get from an audience makes everything we do worthwhile. Thank you.
Before we get out of all this stuff.
All right. Okay.
Can I bring the rope?
No, bring the tree.
Bring the tree.